Warren?
Hello, good morning.
Morning.
My name is Warren Redlich. I first approached some of the people in the Libertarian Party with the idea that I would run for Attorney General. And I think it was Eric's fault. Eric's here somewhere. I think Eric and Rich Cooper said I should run for governor, and I thought they were nuts. And then came to the Capital District Libertarian Party Christmas holiday party, and I was asked to, the group suggested I run for governor. So I started reading more. For those who don't know, I'm a registered Republican. I've been off and on active in the Libertarian Party for the last several years. Mostly off, but sometimes on. I was the 2004 Republican candidate for Congress here in Albany. I was the 2006 Republican candidate for Congress here in Albany. And in 2007, I was elected to the Guilderland Town Board. And that was not an easy election to win. Guilderland is now plurality Democrat. The incumbent, one of the incumbents I beat was the county chair, the Albany County Democratic chair. They had they had Democrat, conservative, independents, and working families lines. We only had the Republican line. They had 3 or 4 times as much money as we had, and we won because we talked about things that the voters cared about. And we talked about those things again and again and again. And because we can't, I ran with a running mate. We ran as a team. We recognized that you have to have a leader of a team. Not necessarily, but that in our case it worked well. My running mate was really the leader. I worked with him. I guess you could call me a wingman. I had ideas, I did some things, but we worked together. We supported each other. We fought, quietly, occasionally, but we worked together, and we won an election. And in 2004, one of the things we talked about with the Libertarian Party candidate for governor is we want to get 50,000 votes. In 2004, as the Republican candidate for Congress here, in one of 29 congressional districts, I got over 70,000 votes. I got 30% of the vote where the previous 7 candidates had gotten 25% of the vote. So I ran on $25,000 in campaign spending. I was able to do something effective. In those 2 campaigns that I ran for Congress, I had a theme. The theme was stop wasting money. That's a pretty good libertarian theme. It turns out it's actually a pretty good theme for everyone. In 2004, it was stop wasting money overseas, defending rich countries like France. Apparently France is not popular. That was a very good line. In 2006, it was just stop wasting money overseas. I didn't have as much time. I didn't have as much money. So I didn't get as much done, and it wasn't as effective a campaign. It was also a really bad year for Republicans, 2006. But that stop wasting money theme made me think, okay, I want to look at the New York State budget. These guys are telling me I should run for governor. I want to look at the New York State budget. Over 500 pages long. And I was trying to figure out, well, where do we spend money? It took me till about page 370 to start figuring out where we're spending money, where the state is spending our money. And I found things like the Commission on Corrections costs $3 million a year for 3 people to sit in a room once a month and talk about corrections. That's the actual mission of the Commission on Corrections. And we spend however much we spend on the State Office for the Prevention of Domestic Violence. Their principal mission is to advise the governor on issues related to domestic violence. So what advice did they give him before he tampered with a witness in a domestic violence case? Either they advised him to tamper with a witness, and I don't think they should be doing that, or they advised him not to and he didn't listen, or they didn't give him any advice, in which case we don't need them. There's so many state agencies that are wasting money. Economic development. It's not exactly a specific agency, but you look at it, roughly $3 billion a year in spending. I'm not talking about tax cuts, I'm not talking about tax credits, I'm talking about the spending. $3 billion a year for corporate welfare, crony capitalism, whatever you want to call it. One of my favorite things is the head of the New York Public Library. This isn't in the state budget, but it's one of the things I found out. I asked people, how much do you think the head of the New York Public Library makes? Some people guess 100,000, some people guess 150. Some people figure out Armando something, they'll guess $250,000. He makes $689,000 a year. Wow. That's not a libertarian issue. That's not a Republican issue, it's not a conservative issue, it's just an issue. Socialists don't think the head of a library should make $689,000 a year. This is a very effective campaign issue. Now, there was a reference earlier to seeking other lines. I am seeking the Republican line for governor as well as the Libertarian line. I am not seeking a Tea Party line. As far as I know, there isn't going to be a Tea Party line. I've heard rumblings about it occasionally, but my plan was to seek the Republican line and the Libertarian line. I am a long shot for the Republican nomination. But seeking the Republican nomination, A, there's a hope I do get it, but B, there's a strategy with it to try to help the Libertarian Party candidate for governor get 50,000 votes. By being a candidate in a Republican primary, it will draw more attention to the campaign. More people will know I'm a candidate. Name recognition is very important in getting votes. So the reason I'm seeking, the principal reason I'm seeking the Republican line is I want the Republican line. But if I get the Republican line and I'm on the Libertarian line, that's going to help. And if I don't get the Republican line, but I get the Libertarian line, then the effort of seeking the Republican line is going to help. I spoke at Tea Parties on April 12th, April 15th, and April 17th. 1,500 in Buffalo, 500 to 1,000 in Rochester, a couple thousand in Albany. When I spoke about this librarian, when I spoke about other things, I got applause. I got laughter when I commented that I'm not a good politician because I've never been caught with a hooker. There's all kinds of things that you can do to be effective as a candidate. I've gotten media coverage. Eric kept reminding me to say this, the goal is 50,000 votes. There was a poll in March by Siena College. I was included in the poll, which really is thanks to Eric pushing the Siena to put me in. And they polled me as the Libertarian candidate. They didn't include me in the Republican primaries. They just included me as the Libertarian candidate. And before I get to the result, I thought it was funny. They said I had 15% name recognition. I actually talked to the pollster the other day. I said half those people must be lying. But I polled as the Libertarian candidate 3 to 4%, depending on, there were two polls that I was in, 2 questions I was included in. 3% would be 140,000 votes. 4% would be 180,000 votes. And we're just getting started. We really can get 50,000 votes for the governor candidate on the Libertarian line if we have a candidate who works, and if we have a team, like people supporting that candidate, like Eric. For those who don't know, Eric's been very helpful. And we fight. And we do fight.
I love fighting.
We had an argument last night. But, Eric...
But you came anyway.
Sure. But, that argument we had last night, hit me with something. There's another candidate for the Republican line who has been, there's been stories about him sending inappropriate emails, having an illegitimate child, other, questionable things that he's done. And his supporters don't respond by calling him names and telling him, hey, don't do that, and hey, I don't like you. His supporters respond by patting him on the back and saying, don't listen to those jerks, keep fighting. That is not a reaction that I see coming from the Libertarian Party. My experience with, and I'm not speaking with everybody in the room, I'm speaking with the limited interactions I've had so far, is I will say something publicly, and somebody will tell me, I didn't like that you did that. Okay. Now, Eric can do that, by the way, because Eric's been working his butt off for my campaign. But coming from somebody who hasn't done anything, why are you telling me that? One of the challenges is, if we're going to get as many votes as we'd like to get, I'm going to work hard. I know Eric's probably going to work hard if he doesn't get too mad at me. It has to be a team effort. And a team effort isn't calling the candidate every day and telling them, I don't like what you did. Because you know what? The only way you're going to get a candidate who does everything you like and agrees with everything you say, you have to look in the mirror. That's where you find that candidate. I'm going to do things you won't like. I'm going to say things that you won't agree with.